then. Okay. Hi. Today we're talking about inviting. So I know that a lot of you are going to watch the recording, and that's awesome. I know that this is kind of a wonky time. I picked this time for my girls just because we're West Coasters. So I know this afternoon time isn't great. But here's what I wanted to talk about today. And Melanie, feel free to jump in as much as you want to. Laura and I have been chatting a lot about inviting, and we've been talking about what that looks like. So, my story is, just in case you don't know me, I'm Kizzy Higgins. I started with Body, it'll be 3 years in September, but I've been coaching for the last year. And the reason that I started coaching is because, hi, smiles forever. The reason that I started coaching is because I had a friend that every time we hung out together, she would cry. And it's because she felt uncomfortable in her own skin. And what I really wanted was a place. Well, it's you, Mia. Your smiles forever through me.
I know it does every time. It's the board that I'm on, so every time it loads me as that.
So
But I don't
I should have guessed. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm stuck under their account. So
Funny.
yeah.
Well, so we're talking about inviting, and I was talking about why I started. So for me, I had a friend that every time we got together, she would cry. And the reason that she would cry is because she just didn't feel comfortable in her own skin. She switched to just wearing sweats. She stopped moving altogether. She just wasn't taking the time to care for herself. And I wanted a place that I could invite her, a place where she would feel like she belonged, a place that she felt like she was worth it. Even if her family wasn't rallying behind her, even if her friends weren't rallying behind her, I wanted her to have a place. And this, I wasn't going to talk about this today, but I actually just got together with her this morning for a walk, and her account is renewing this month. And she was like, it's funny, I don't need this place for the workouts. She's like, I can find free workouts on YouTube. She's like, what I need this place for is for accountability and for the camaraderie. She's like, this is the one place in my life that I feel like people will cheer me on, regardless of what I'm doing or how much I've engaged or how much I've connected or how much I'm pouring into other people. And I'm just so grateful for that. Hi, Stace. So, what I want to talk to you guys today is about inviting those people. So, for me, when I start an inviting thread, when I reach out to somebody, there's a couple different ways that I do that. The reason that I post to stories in the mornings, I'm not great about posting, but the reason that I post to stories is because on the days that I feel like I'm stuck with who I'm going to invite, I go to my stories and I watch who's watched those so that it gets me fired up knowing who I should be inviting. But even before I do that, you guys, I reach out to the people that I already know and love and that I'm in relationship with. And the reason that I invite those people is because I've already taken the time to hear their needs. I've already taken the time to hear what's important to them. I've already taken the time to hear what their stressors are or what their insecurities are. And I invite them then from that place. And I invite them to something specific. So for me, I know that in my group, I've talked about this a lot before, but for me, I established for myself a scaffolding first. So I've told my teammates before, it really helps me when I'm engaging a lot in my bod group and I'm making those scheduled posts because then I know what I'm inviting to. Even if I'm not making those scheduled posts, even if I'm just a participant in the group, I've listened to other people's concerns. I've heard them say, wow, I really didn't feel like pressing play today, but I did anyway because of this group. One of the girls just posted in our group, we've got a nightly challenge right now to post a picture of yourself and say 3 positive things about your body. And she has not participated one day because she can't come up with 3 things. And that hurts my heart. That hurts my heart that that's where we're at as women. So I know now what I'm inviting to. I want you to be a part of something where you have the confidence to say 3 positive things about your body, because Mia and Stacy and Kristen and all these people have already commented on how great of a job you're doing. You're inviting them into that space. You're not inviting them to body. You're not just inviting them to a list of workouts. You're not just inviting them to figure this out on your own. You're inviting them into a community that maybe they don't have access to anywhere else. So for me, I create for myself first a scaffolding, and that scaffolding is my why. So, why do I want to be a part of this? Why is this something that Laura talked me into? And for me, it's because I want a structure. I want a place where women feel welcome and accepted and cared for and seen, a place where they realize they're worth the time, the money, and the investment. I want them to have a place, a platform for that, right? So that's the reason that I invite. And then number 2, I think about the woman that needs to be invited. So for me, sometimes I will go to somebody's page and I will look for a picture of them. One of the ladies that I invited just a few months ago, when I went to her Facebook page to check in on her, I hadn't talked to her in forever. I could not find one picture of her. I could find hundreds of her kids. I could find countless pictures of her husband, but I couldn't find any of her. And I wanted her to know that she had a place that she could belong, that she had a place where she could feel worth it, that she had a place where there were a group of women cheering her on just because they were doing the same thing that she was doing. So, your first assignment, this is a working event, right? Your first assignment today is I want you to take 5 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. And I want you to come up with, I know you already have your why statement, but I want you to really take time to think about why you're inviting her. And let me take this a step further before I set my timer. So I think that sometimes for me, when I first started inviting people, it felt really salesy. And I would get in my head about like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to cold call somebody. I don't want to reach out to somebody like just randomly. I don't want them to feel like the only reason I'm reaching out to you, the only reason that I'm engaging with you is because I want a commission. I don't ever want women to feel like that. So for me, every time I set myself out to invite, I make sure I think about her first. Because when I think about me first, then I get way in my head. And I think, oh my gosh, this is going to sound so salesy. This is going to sound ridiculous. Like she's going to be so annoyed that I'm reaching out to her. But when I think about her first instead, and I think about her sitting home trying to press play on a workout and no one encouraging her to do that. When I think about her choosing her nutrition and trying to meal prep and plan and having to make a separate meal for her and a separate meal for her husband, then I think about her needing to be in this group. When I think about that woman that's so overwhelmed that she doesn't even know where to start, I walked with a friend the other day and she was like, I don't even know what to cut out. Like, I don't even know what to eliminate at this point. Like, I don't even know what healthy is. I don't even know what that looks like. So I want her to have a place to be able to ask those questions, to engage. And when I'm thinking about that first, then I forget about how I'm feeling because she deserves to have a place to belong. I know that for me, this group has changed my perspective so much, and it's given me a place to belong and a place to shine and a place to ask questions and a place to engage. And it's made these relationships that are so strong that I never would have had otherwise. So, my encouragement to you is to take a minute today to think about her and to think about your why for her. So, come up with your own scaffolding. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. I want you to come up with, I know that a lot of you already have your why statement, but what I want you to come up with specifically is your why for before you ask her. So right now, I know that you guys have your list. You've got your big list that we've asked you to make from Team Cup, right? So maybe pull that out and go through and look at that team list and ask yourself, how come Tiffany needs to be invited today. I know I've already asked her before. I know that she's turned me down, but why did she turn me down? What were the reasons for that? And why should I reach back out again, even though she turned me down? One more little quick thought before I set my timer. A lady just joined, not yesterday, but the day before with me that I have literally been inviting for a year. She reached out again and was like, I really am interested. Thank you for not giving up on me and for actually caring enough to keep asking, which always puts that in a different perspective for me. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, like how selfish am I to be like, I'm never inviting this person again? Cause sometimes I can feel like that. But again, that's when I'm thinking about me, not about her. Okay. So take 5 minutes, look at your list, think specifically, maybe even just take 3 people off of your list and think specifically about why she needs to be invited. Okay. Good. Ask questions in the chat during your 5 minutes too, just in case you've got any. I'm going to mute myself though. Okay. How did that go? Do you guys feel like you have a why statement for why she needs to be included, why she needs to be invited, how you can get out of your head and invite her? Any thoughts? You feel good? Yes? Okay. So here's my next thought. Okay. You've got your why. You know why you need to invite her, why you need to engage. I was going to ask you a question, but you guys aren't unmuting. So I'm just going to tell you the answer. I'm going to get to the punchline. Here's the punchline. The way that you figure out her why she needs to be invited, is by asking a lot of questions. So I know that me and I have talked about this. I know that Stace and I have talked about this a little bit. I send a cart last. I don't send a cart to somebody until I know that they're going to purchase. And my reason for that is that I want them to feel the value of the group and honestly of me first. So I guess if I'm being honest, I'm not really selling body, I'm selling me. So I want women to make sure they feel encouraged and supported first before they ever jump on board. And the way that they'll feel supported and encouraged is if they're feeling heard. I feel like as a society in general, I'm not even going to just blame women, but as a society in general, I think that we do a really poor job of asking questions, and we do a really great job about talking about ourselves. So we, I think, need to be different and offer a place for women to be able to voice their concerns. Like, that lady never would have posted in our bod group that she feels uncomfortable posting a picture of herself and pointing out 3 positive things if people hadn't loved on and encouraged and engaged with her first. Does that make sense? So you're not just being saleswomen. Like, I know that that can leave a bad taste in our mouths. What you're doing is connecting with women and giving them a place to engage and belong. Great question, Stace. Stace asked, what type of starter questions do you ask? So for me, a lot of times I will just invite to our bod group. But then what I do when I invite to our bod group, so I will say something along the lines of like, hey, just wanted to let you know that I started coaching for a company, and we've got a group of women that work out every day together to hold ourselves accountable. We work out on our own time in our own homes to make it easy, but then we post to an accountability group to cheer one another on. Is that something that you would like to be a part of? And almost always, if I don't get totally ignored, almost always I get a follow-up question. And that follow-up question will be like, what kind of workouts are they? How does this work? How do I participate in something like that? Is there a cost? That kind of a thing. And I always say, great question. What do you feel like is lacking in your workout routine right now? So for instance, I'm talking to a girl right now that has not worked out since she had kids, and her youngest is 12. So she feels like she's ready to jump on board again, but she's really scared because it's been so long. So right now I'm asking lots of questions about what things fill her cup. What's something that makes her feel like she's worth it right now? What's a place that she's doing some free workouts on YouTube right now? So I ask her a lot right now how those workouts are going. She reached out the other day and she's like, wow, you're holding me really accountable to these free YouTube workouts. But it's because I want her to get a taste of what accountability feels like and encouragement feels like today. So for her, I know that her biggest hangup right now, the reason that she's not committing, is because she's fearful that she won't do it. She's fearful that she's not going to find the time to do it. So what we're talking about a lot right now is like, well, what does your work schedule look like? What does your home schedule look like? When do you have to have the kids out the door? And then what's the plan? So for her, she has to have the kids out the door in the morning at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And then she leaves for work after that. So what I've expressed to her is that, yeah, it's the same way over here. And it's really hard to make yourself a priority, especially in the mornings. So for me, I know that if I don't set my alarm at 5:10, it's not going to get done because there's a million other things that take place during the day that vie for our time and our attention. But I know that for me, a lot of times I'll bring up that podcast that I've brought up with you guys before. So I was listening to a podcast one time, for those of you that haven't heard this story, and the moms are explaining in the podcast, what if your kid asks for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's 1 o'clock and you haven't fed yourself since 7 a.m. You make your kids peanut butter and jelly sandwich thinking, I'll just make them something to eat really fast. I'll eat myself when I'm done getting them ready. You make their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you cut it into triangles like they ask for every single day. But today they want rectangles. So today, when you hand them the peanut butter and jelly sandwich on an empty stomach yourself, and they lose their minds because today they wanted rectangles for the first time in their entire lives, when you hand them that sandwich, you also lose your mind because you have put yourself on the back burner. You've got no patience or energy left to invest in them because you're already spent. She's like, putting on your oxygen mask first, though it sounds wildly selfish. The reason that we put on our oxygen mask first is because if we don't, we pass out and then both us and our child die. It's the same way with the everyday stuff, right? Like if Axel is throwing a monster fit, but you're fueled, you come at that from a way more logical standpoint, right? Like, oh, he's probably tired right now. He probably needs a new diaper. He probably needs a nap. We can be logical when we've had our basic needs met. So right now with that mom, what I'm talking about a lot is that her basic needs are not being met. And that's why she's feeling so empty and depleted. So for her, the reason that she's joining, the reason that she's going to jump on board is because she wants a place where those basic needs can be met. Does that make sense, Stace? I've got another mom that I talked to. She actually just joined our bod group last month, but another mom that I was talking to that has put herself on the back burner because I mean, like, isn't that our MO? She's put herself on the back burner, and for her, it's nutrition. So she's of that old school mindset that if I don't eat all day, then I can eat dinner and I deserve dinner because I've limited my calories all day long. So then the problem is she's literally eating nothing all day long. And then at 9 o'clock at night, she's eating 4 slices of pizza because she just can't anymore. So she started Shakeology. She's a month in. She called me the other day. She was like, how do I get more? I want 3 bags. Like, you want 3 bags today? She's like, yeah, I want 3 bags today because I want to make dessert, I want to make waffles, and I want to make, and she's listing all these things. But for the first time in years, she's feeling like, oh my gosh, like I actually have energy throughout the day because I'm eating. Does that make sense? Okay, Mia, let me read your thing real quick. It feels like everyone wants to know the cost from the go. How do you go about prolonging that while still making them feel like you're answering their questions? I've been guilty of sending a cart too early. Okay, for me, I talked to Laura about this today and got her opinion too. And then maybe Melanie can jump in and say what she does. For me, I never send a cart until I know that they're ready to click purchase. When they ask for cost, I'm willing to be upfront. But what I say is something along the lines of like, yeah, great question. Cost is $219 for the year, and that's going to come with everything for you. That's going to come with your online workouts. That's going to come, and I always talk about the online workouts being a part of a program that builds you towards a goal. So then that's when I talk about like, yeah, we've got programs that build your strength if that's what you're looking to gain. And if I'm talking to a woman that's over 40, then I talk about how we as aging women need to lift heavy things because that's something that's super important to our development as we age, right? If we want to age well and gracefully, that's something that our bodies need to do. I talk about how we've got programs that work us towards flexibility. I talk about how we have programs that work us towards lowering our cortisol levels. and I talk about the mindset stuff there. I listened to Elise on a call, and she talked about how on purpose she designed Bar Blend to lower her cortisol levels because they were high, and she wanted a low impact workout that still worked her body well. So that's something that I talk about, especially when women are talking about how stressed out they are. I talk about how all of our nutrition is included. Sometimes I ask if they'd like for me to send them a recipe. But I make sure when I talk about the cost, I talk about all of the benefits. I talk a lot about our BOD group. I've actually screen recorded our BOD group sometimes, and I'll scroll through slowly so that they can see the involvement there and the intentionality there and how we comment on each other's posts. That actually got a lady the other day to purchase on the spot that like has not been interested at all. Isn't that crazy? But it's because that's what she was looking for. So after that, after she asks some more questions there, then I would say something along the lines of like, is there a workout program that sounds intriguing to you? Like, what's something that you most enjoy? And I'd say 90% of the time I get back, enjoy. I don't enjoy movement. And so then I say things like, yeah, I used to feel the exact same way, but I feel like I felt that way because I was in charge of my movement. I just wanted somebody to tell me what to do. And now, like, because the trainers are fun and they're engaging, a lot of times when they say what kind of movement, like, and I'm not interested at all, a lot of times I will send them a Shaun T workout because he makes everybody laugh, you know? And then a lot of times I'll write back something like, oh my gosh, I'm so uncoordinated. There's no way I could do something like that. So then I'll send them one like with Lacey, or one that is more, straightforward, more self-explanatory. Um, yeah, so I often then times don't send my carts until they're at the point of wanting to purchase. And when that's the case, I send them the cart and then I say, let me know once you've purchased and I'll add you to our amazing BOD group. Or I will add you to these encouraging group of women. The lady that just purchased the other day, as soon as she did, I was like, okay, awesome. Let me know once you've purchased, and then I'll help you pick out a workout plan and a nutrition plan that will work for you. And she was excited to be able to do that. She's ready to jump on board. And so because of that, like that, I think that made her pull the trigger, because she was wanting to figure out that workout plan. She was wanting to figure out that nutrition plan. So again, like, when I'm inviting, I'm just constantly thinking about her and all of the things that she's going to gain with this program, with this crew of women, with this. Oh, sorry, I'm getting this is your 5-minute warning message. Before we jump off real quick, Melanie, do you have any thoughts on when you send out your carts?
Yeah, so I'm like you, Kizzy. I send it at the end, and by that point, I know what their goals are and what they're looking for, as far as their health and wellness. And we also talk about the different packages that are available and the one that I would recommend for them. And we talk about the flavor options. So like all of that's already decided before I send them a cart. But I want to highlight something I'm noticing, you guys, because I don't know Kizzy very well, and so I'm really enjoying your power hour here, Kizzy. Like, you are just a natural leader, and I love it. What I'm noticing about Kizzy is that she slows down when she's inviting, and you guys, this is Team Cup, and I feel like there's a sense of urgency to get people to buy right now and meet those goals by the end of the month. But in all honesty, and Kizzy is doing this so beautifully, like, it takes time to build a relationship with somebody. And so the people that you're talking to this month might not sign up until next month. And that's okay. But if you have 5, 6, 10 conversations going at any given time, then that's just building your funnel for the future. So because you're having a conversation today doesn't mean you're going to have a sale tomorrow. So I just want you to understand that this is the long game, and we're here for relationships, and not just a sale. So good job, Kizzy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, Melanie. It's so true. Like, very rarely do I have somebody that I chat with that then signs up within a day or two. especially at this point in the game. Like I feel like at the beginning it was really easy to get my friends on board because they already knew what I was doing. You know, they had already been on this journey with me for a little while. So it was easy for them to say yes because they already heard me talking about it. So it felt quick, but it actually was just as slow as the conversations I'm having now, which is a great reminder. Yeah, Mia is a prime example. She took forever to say yes. She told me no all the time. I'm not interested. It's not for me. But I just kept talking to her, just kept encouraging her because I knew that it was for her. So I think that too, it's really important to remember that a lot of times when people are telling you no, they're not telling you no. They're telling themselves no. No, I'm not ready to make that big commitment yet. No, I don't think I'm worth it. No, I'm not ready to invest the money. No, I'm not ready to get a set of weights. It's not telling you no. So when you get in your head and feel like, oh, I'm being so salesy, you're not. All you're doing is stepping alongside her and telling her, that's not true. You are worth it. And that's not true. You can find the time. And it's not worth it. Meal prepping isn't the end of the world. Just do one meal, just one. So she just needs you to be her cheerleader and tell her that she can. So I'm sure that Zoom is going to kick us off here in a second. Here's your assignment for the weekend. I'm not even going to ask you to invite anybody new. You've been inviting a lot of people. You guys have been doing a really good job. Something else I want to throw out really fast before I tell you your assignment for this weekend. If you're feeling like I don't know that this is like everybody's going to be pumped about this advice, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can silence your texts. If you're feeling burnt out, you can make Facebook Messenger stop notifying you. I want you to engage. I want you here for all of it. If you're feeling like I'm at my max, I can't do all of this, don't. Take a step back, because the reality is we're in this just as much for you as we are for her. So if this is fueling you to be a part of these conversations, be in them. If this is filling up your cup to be on these team calls, be on them. If it's not, and if you need a breather, take a step back, and no one's going to fault you for that. Text us as much as you need to. Engage as much as you need to. We're here to help and encourage and cheer you on. Think about our text threads as the bod group and it being a place where you can vent, a place where you can ask your questions, a place where you can engage. And then my encouragement to you, my takeaway for you from Team Cup is just to invite. Just keep inviting her and keep engaging with her, because she needs a place where somebody can say that to her too. Where somebody can say, this is for you. I know that when I press play on my leg workout, I maybe hate it because I literally had sweat dripping all over my floor today. But when I'm done, I feel so good. She needs somebody to tell her that that's okay too. You know, that's why you guys are doing this. That's why you said yes. So my encouragement for this weekend is don't feel like you need to invite anybody new. Go back and pour into the ladies that you've already invited that either said no because it was too much money. Figure out why. Why did she say that? Why did she say it was too much money? Is it because she doesn't feel worth it? Is it because she's got a bunch of medical bills right now? Is it because she feels like she's paying for her kids' football and she doesn't have time to invest in her instead? Listen to her whys and pour back into her and remind her she is worth the time. She's worth the energy. She's worth the investment. And the reason we do all of this is for our families anyway. When we put on our oxygen mask first, we don't lose our mind when our kid wants rectangles instead of triangles, you know? So my encouragement for you this weekend, my homework for you this weekend is to re-engage with those women that have maybe told you no, or that have maybe said, yeah, I'm interested, but haven't bit yet. Okay. When you get stuck in your conversations, don't feel like you're doing it alone. Screenshot what you're going to write back, or screenshot what she's read and put it in the team thread, or just reach out to your coach personally and say, I don't know how to respond right now. Deal? Okay, happy Friday. I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. I'm excited to be on this team cup with you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.